Hello and welcome to Azur Lane Meta. If after this video you want to help support the channel, please check out my affiliate store at kit.co/Azur Lane Meta. Welcome back, guys. It is Maintenance Thursday, and you know what that means. We have another data mine video and all of the updates you need to know for when the servers come back live. Now, with only 4 new ships and none of them being SRs, all of them elites, I was unsure if I was going to make this video. Sure, we get a bunch of new events. We get 22 new skins. Oh my gosh. That includes Aurora's O skin as well as the event skin that we can gain. We have the coloring book, PT events, which will give new players the ability to get some of the good general build ships. We also get Manja Resort every Lunar New Year. We happen to get gems. They're just a little bit, but those red envelopes do give us actual premium currency. And they give us a ton of things to spend them on, 2 lucky bags, and a promise crate. For those of you who don't know, promise crates are the best thing to buy if you're free to play with your limited gems. Anyway, with that, let's get into the new ships. First up, we have the light cruiser HMS Penelope. She is elite, she has light armor, her stats, they leave much to be desired. I see a high torpedo stat there, that's not very good. She is definitely a torpedo gunner. She's got 135% efficiency on her light cruiser gun, her torpedoes 155%. Okay. This ship deals 20% more damage against destroyers and light cruiser enemies, gains 5% evasion stat, not rate sadly, and anti-air when she kills a unit, stacks up to 3 times. When her HP falls below 30%, you reduce the damage taken by 50% for 5 seconds and heals for 15% of her HP after 5 seconds. It's limited to once per battle, and she has a barrage. This light cruiser is mainly focused on torpedoes in terms of her stats and efficiencies, but they are definitely not very good. Like, that's where her focus is, but it isn't anything near meta. Her skills make her kind of a little bit of a zombie ship. Her last skill, the Pepper Pot, being able to reduce damage in half for 5 seconds and then healing 15% of her HP after 5 seconds is pretty nice, but it doesn't really make up for a lot of the other things she's got going for her. I guess the nice part about her is if you want her in a 1-1 fleet, you can keep using her and she'll be able to keep healing, but if she's getting under 30% health, she probably isn't going to be very good for the map that you're using. Overall, kind of garbage tier in my opinion. Next up, we have the light cruiser Chao Ho. Chao Ho's stats are not too good, but that makes sense for a Chinese light cruiser built in 1910, or she was laid down in 1910. She gets a main gun +1. All right then. We're thinking she's an elite light cruiser with very bad stats because she's super old, but she gets a main gun +1, so that right there is amazing. We'll see if she can cover the rest, because that alone will not make her good because her stats are that bad. She is not very bulky. Her efficiencies are all piss poor, but I noticed something strange here. She has a light cruiser gun, a destroyer gun, and a torpedo slot. She does not have anti-air. She's got 2 guns, though it's the main gun +1, and a torpedo slot. So a lot of surface DPS and no anti-air. Kind of makes sense because she's such an old ship where they're not really focusing on shooting down planes. First skill, she increases her own firepower and anti-air by 25%. I mean, her base firepower is 70, so that's not saying much, and she doesn't have an anti-air gun slot, so that also doesn't help. But if you can boost her firepower enough, it does boost that, so that's nice. Fires a special barrage every 20 seconds. This barrage is good. Half of it scales off firepower, the other half scales off torpedoes. Second skill is self-evasion increases by 20%. This is once again stat, not rate. And while 20% seems very high, her base evasion once again is 70, which is pretty poor for a light cruiser. Damage taken is reduced by 20%. That's similar to something like a Jinsu skill. Now Jinsu's a little bit more bulky with a little bit more HP. However, Chao Ho has medium armor and Jinsu would have light armor. So she's actually kind of in the same range. Depending on the type of damage you're taking, she could bulk damage better than Jinsu, but that is a little bit up to debate. If there are other Chinese ships in the fleet, heal 5% at the start of battle and speed is +8. You only need 1 extra one. You increase the entire fleet's anti-submarine warfare by 20% for 50 seconds. Wow. So you just have to put anyone like her. You could put in Yatsen, you could put in Ninghai, you could put in probably her sister. Wow, this is actually really good, actually. Her barrage also is pretty good here with a 1.25 coefficient. Overall, this ship was bonkers. We have main gun +1. We have a interesting gear setup that I'll love to test out once I finally get my hands on her. Her skills are balls to the wall, and this is exciting. This is kind of what I expected being a Chinese ship. They always make their skills really good despite the stats being bad because historically. But yeah, let's see what her sister is. I'm assuming it's going to be very similar. Ninghai and Pinghai are twins and they mix, and the other two, Ashan and whatever, they mix as well. So I imagine we'll have a lot of mixing here. The light cruiser Ying Swei. That kind of got changed in translation. She is medium armor as well. She has less health than her sister, but she has pretty much the same stats everywhere else. She has 2 more anti-air. In terms of her efficiency, she has the same setup that's weird with that light cruiser gun, destroyer gun, and torpedo gun, and no anti-air. Efficiencies are the same. We have confirmed there is no ghost anti-air, so this is going to be a little bit different than when we don't have a gun slot, like a light cruiser gun slot for the aviation battleships, where we get to get this kind of ghost gun that does all right. These literally have no anti-air gun, which means if you pair them up in like a 1-1 fleet with just a carrier, you don't have any ability to shoot down planes. I'm not sure if the circle will just not show up or how that will work, but that will be fun to test out myself. Okay, the first skill here looks exactly the same. We have a very powerful barrage with a self increase of firepower and anti-air by 25%, and we get this barrage every 20 seconds. Still strong, nothing to say there. Second skill looks very similar as well. Self evasion stat 20%. Damage reduction is by 20%, so that helps with her survivability. She has less health, so she's going to die a little bit quicker than her sister, but the difference in their health is going to be less than 100 health points, so not too much. If there are other Chinese ships in the fleet, heal 8%. Her sister healed 5%, and at the start of the battle, increased the speed by 5%. So they flipped the health and the speed there. I think the health is more important. This means that basically you put her with another Chinese ship and she heals right off the bat. That's going to be amazing for mob fleets. 8% at the start of every battle is going to be like really good for these mob fleets, especially for Operation Siren. It's going to be pretty good. Increases the entire fleet's anti-air by 20% for 50 seconds. Holy cow. That includes the main fleet. That includes everybody. That gives 20% boost to Sandy. Okay, her sister only boosted anti-submarine warfare, which is completely useless right now unless we get something in World 14. Wow, 20% AA, and it just gets the whole fleet. Like Sandy and Georgia, you get to just boost their anti-air 20%. No restrictions. You just have to have another Chinese ship in there. The heal at the beginning of the battle is very nice for mobbing. We already have a good barrage. Her third skill is just the same barrage as Chao Ho, and it's very good. So we have a good barrage. We have actually enough tankiness in her skills. Evasion stat goes by 20%. The damage reductions by 20% reduced. So with medium armor, she's going to have survivability of a mid-tier light cruiser. In terms of her damage, her stats are terrible. Her DPS is awful, even with that 20% firepower boost. But she does have a main gun +1 and a torpedo slots. I mean, the torpedo slots at 80% efficiency and like 232 torpedo stat. Not going to be doing very much, but it could help if you're like running into some of the heavy armor. Overall, these Chinese ships, I had an expectation that they might be good because their skills, because like they literally have done this before. But yeah, Manju made these terrible stat ships pretty usable. Of course, they're not going to be used in PvP or anything. I really think that there's a lot of utility with Ying Swei in a mob fleet in a world where you have a lot of aviation damage from your enemy. So that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure if she'll be able to hold up in World 13 because once again, she doesn't have an anti-air slot. If you actually think about it, her 20% anti-air boost is actually replacing the loss that she is having by not having that gun. I'll have to see if she can survive in World 13, if she'll be any useful there. And once again, she kind of needs to go in a fleet that has high anti-air so that she can offset that with that 20%. Heal is really nice. Barrages are nice overall. Ying Swei is a really solid ship. All three of those ships, Ying Swei, Chao Ho, and Penelope, are rate up in the light construction build. So you just do your light construction builds like normal, and hopefully you'll get them. They are rate up so that you have a 2.5% chance of gaining them. And that's pretty good, although, you know, the difference between 2 and 2.5 is not much, and it's definitely noticeable. Last but not least, we have the submarine KMS U410. She is also an elite. We have no SRs in the new Lunar New Year ships. She's an elite submarine in the KMS. I feel like it'll be super hard for her to keep up with the already super strong U-boats that the Germans have. Her stats are not too much to write home about. She's giving up torpedo stat, which is the most important stat to all of the SR submarines, which we expect, being that she's elite. Nothing special in terms of her efficiency. She's even giving up 5% efficiency on that second torpedo gun slot. As for the skills, this ship deals 20% more damage to light cruisers, so that's kind of convenient. Fire a torpedo barrage upon running out of oxygen and resurfacing. That's the worst type. Usually you want it towards the beginning, not a resurfacing one, because most of the time if you're trying to speed run something, you're not going to be resurfacing anyway. For every KMS submarine in the fleet, increase the torpedo, the accuracy, and the reload by 6% by herself, so that's a potential of 18% stack. She got the good ones. Torpedo, accuracy, and reload are the three best ones, so we don't have to worry about her getting evasion like some of the other ones. So this is the best wolf pack that you can get, but it's a generic wolf pack, not a special wolf pack that the SRs get, so she does lose out on that extra skill. And the barrage is basically just standard. It's actually a decently solid submarine for elites. I would say that she's one of the best elite submarines that there is out there, but we have so many SR submarines out there and they pretty much all outclass her, and so pick her up for the extra fleet tech. And otherwise, if you're new and you don't have any submarines, even though she could be good and easy to level up, submarines are useless right now for middle and early games, so there's no point in getting her. You might as well just save up for the end game when you get the good ones. Overall, Penelope is like a budget, weaker version of Neptune. U410 is the best elite submarine, which does not matter at all. Don't necessarily need her outside of fleet tech. The light cruisers from China were, of course, the main event. Both actually, surprisingly, with a main gun +1 and good skills, do put them on the radar for cheap mob fleets. Remember, as old elite light cruisers, they will be pretty cheap on oil. Ying Swei ultimately gets the better boost from me because she heals 8% instead of 5%, as well as boosts anti-air instead of anti-submarine warfare. So I would say the best of these four ships, and the must pick up from this banner, if you can call it that, is Ying Swei. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this, get a little bit of a sense of what these ships are and if you should bother to go for them. We recently hit 10,000 subscribers and I built myself a new PC, so we have a 10-hour stream as promised coming up soon. I'll let you guys know more details. Subscribe to the channel so you get notified when I give you the announcements for that stream.